All right, this week on the Danny Beal Show, we had Jake and Zach Agnos, obviously future Hall of Fame Pirates, but great baseball players as well, and even better people. We had a lot of topics of conversation, obviously talking about Zach's future as a Rocky, Jake coming back from his injuries and his trials and tribulations. We talked about Nico Agnos, their father, that passed away in the fall of 2021, which was a great conversation. But a lot more, a lot of stories you guys probably haven't heard, a lot of brother bickering, as you could probably imagine. But it was a great conversation, and hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Danny Beal Show. This week we have two very special guests, Hall of Fame Pirates, Team USA alums, former All-Americans, 10th and 4th round picks in, 3 years apart, 22 and 19. But today we have Jake and Zach Agnos. Thanks for coming on, fellas.
Appreciate you having us, man.
Yeah, how have y'all been? What you up to?
You want to go? Yeah, I mean, we're just in Florida right now. Jake's giving me the luxury of living with him and his fiance and her sister.
Wow, third wheel in. I love it.
Yeah, and his adorable dog. But we're just chilling in Florida, working out 6 times a week and throwing, ramping up.
Jeez.
Yeah, nice. But it's not lift. I'm on a three lifts and 3 movement days, which aren't too bad. But yeah, it's just throwing. Started, I think next week will be my first 5-day week throwing, so we'll go from there.
So what is the, build up like now for you guys? I mean, I know for people that don't know, I guess, that don't follow you on socials or anything, you're working with Cressy down there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So how is that going? How is the kind of ramp up and the workouts treating you?
I mean, it's a little bit different story. So I've had less than ideal past couple years. So I've had 4 surgeries in the last 4 years.
Yeah, which we'll get into, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit different. It's kind of been nice because my ramp up's really kind of lining up with guys that are coming off a healthy season. So nice. Started maybe a little bit ahead, but with coming off an injury, it's going to give me more time, I guess, to prepare for spring. But right now I'm looking at like 5 days a week of throwing, started touching slope a little bit, and then we'll start throwing like actual bullpens probably within the next week or two. And then they have big pro days down here. So the first one's like the second week of January. And then they have another one in, I think, early February, something like that. Hopefully I'll get signed after the first one. But
yeah,
so my schedule has been pretty repetitive for the past 4 years, unfortunately. But
yeah.
That kind of hit on what his normal offseason looks like coming off of a healthy season.
I mean, so we finished, September 19th after the playoffs.
Right.
Got to go home, see my mom for a good bit, see my friends, see Carter's family. So that was good. Stayed there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Decided to get down here around early October, and started lifting a little bit. And then probably 2 weeks ago, I started throwing super light. And, now I'm starting to stretch it out. I think I stretch it out a little bit to like 150 feet tomorrow, but with some air under it. I still got a couple months to ramp up for spring training. So, I'm not trying to step on it too much too early.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's got to make sure he's not stepping on too early.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to hold him accountable. Jeez.
It's always been like that. He's like picking up baseball and starting to let it eat and throw off speed and stuff. I'm like, dude.
I haven't thrown it in a week. Let me throw it as hard as I possibly can and see what happens.
I mean, for example, last week, I'm throwing a flat ground, just nice and easy, and I call a changeup, and he just goes.
It's his third day of throwing.
No, it's my second week.
Okay.
And he's like, "What are you doing? What are you freaking out on me?" I'm like, "Dude, it's a changeup. I'm not doing anything that's gonna harm my elbow."
Yeah. It's
just
funny that you say that.
Just looking out for him,
Yeah, somebody has to, or else he's going to get in his own way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny that you say that because it's kind of the same thing with what I was doing. I was telling Zach like last week when I was talking to you guys that I'm doing tread, and it's the same kind of thing with pro days and building up and stuff. So it's funny that it's the same kind of aspect down there. But I'm good. That's good. I'm glad y'all are doing well.
College and high school and all that when you're playing in fall, and then you got fall ball in college and all that. It's just a different kind of
for sure.
I guess ordeal with like truly getting almost half a year off, a little bit less than like 4 or 5 months of just like actually, kind of shutting down, rebuilding. It's kind of difficult because in high school and college, you kind of have small bits and pieces here, but you're for the majority more built up. With pro ball. Like there's that act of like shutting down, but you're seeing, I guess, more and more guys kind of take less time off, if that makes sense. So back in the day, I mean, I know we had a pitching coach, Sean Camp, who's at George Mason now, the head coach there. And I mean, he would joke around and say like, he wouldn't start throwing bullpens until he showed up to spring training. Like that's completely unheard of now. It's the dynamics changed. But yeah, we're in a good spot. I think there's a lot of good spots throughout the country. And I know there's a lot of guys that even go back to ECU and train. It just, the dice kind of fell when the pandemic hit and I was dealing with some arm stuff. This seemed like a good opportunity. And then with surgeries and all that, we ended up here and I've been here since. So just kind of funny how things kind of worked out just by chance.
Yeah, for sure.
Made it fairly easy for my off season.
I mean, geez, I go through all this. Zach just shows up, done pay rent, just comes out, hangs out.
All right.
I ask him to do the dishes. You think I'm like asking him to like, go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's unreal. No, you didn't even ask me to do the dishes. You literally just came downstairs like you didn't do the dishes.
This is what they're here for, everybody. We wanted the bickering. This is exactly what we wanted.
It's annoying. Yeah. It's unreal. But it's fun. We enjoy it at least.
It is nice. It's nice. It breaks up my repetitive rehabs. I always look forward to the guys coming in the off season because it allows me to feel like I miss the clubhouse camaraderie the most. And so having all the guys back, having Zach here, it's kind of nice for me to kind of feel like I'm back in like the normal swing of things too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can only imagine like the trials and tribulations of it all, trying to break up the monotony of it now. But we'll get into obviously your last few years in more depth later. But let's start from the beginning with you two. Obviously, growing up in Virginia and people heard it last couple of weeks with Carter, but growing up with two other siblings in a relatively pretty baseball-driven household, as you can tell, like what was that like? Obviously, Northern Virginia, and then growing up into being Pirates.
I mean, it started from day one. I mean, as early as I can remember, it was always baseball. And I mean, Jake, I don't know if he remembers, but definitely my older brother and sister, they used to go down to Virginia Tech and watch my uncle pitch when he was in college. And I never had that luxury. He was actually, I think he was living with us when I was a kid and stuff to start. But like I said, it was always baseball. And as we got older, it just turned into more of walking home from the local park and baseballs being thrown at your head and bats being thrown at your head. No, it was Northern Virginia. When we were growing up, it was such a great spot because, we had a big little league that was super competitive all the time. All your best friends were in that little league. And, I actually got to play with Carter quite a bit on little league. So it was kind of a fun thing. I think my dad and his dad were the coaches a lot. So, those are the memories that to this day, I'll take down with me as one of my favorite baseball memories is playing with your best friends when you're 12 years old in a crappy field with patchy grass. But
what you're great.
Exactly. You're playing against your friends. You're playing with your friends. So, and then you got great resources up in Northern Virginia. Like Jake said, our pitching coach played in the big leagues for 11 years. My hitting coach growing up played at George Mason, was very knowledgeable. And
also in the show.
Also in the show. And then we had another guy, Josh Steinberg, who me and Carter went to. And he never played pro ball, but he just was so knowledgeable about the swing and approach and everything. And we got that exposed to us when we were like 12, 13, 14 years old. So it just kind of put us on the right path. So we went to high school and college.
One thing I want to add, I know Zach said it was always baseball in our family, but I think the biggest compliment I can get to my parents, and what I would want either kids or parents listening to this is like, we were never like pushed to one sport. Like, it was never like, hey, you have to play baseball. Like, it was always driven by us. Like, we wanted to play baseball. We wanted to go to the field. We wanted to go hit in the cages, and they were always there to support that. But in basketball season, it was the same thing, even though I was pretty trash at basketball. And football, like, you know what I mean? But we were never like pigeonholed into one like sport or one activity, and just having parents that were able to support us and like, you know, just kind of let us do what we wanted to do. And then baseball just kind of worked out that way. But the number of kids I saw that got so consumed by one sport, or like these parents that are so, and it's not any knock on the parents, like, you know, these travel teams and all that are saying you need to go play at these tournaments at young ages. Like, we played Little League until middle school. Like, seriously, I would go from middle school practice to Little League practice. And it's just like, did it hinder me in any way? I don't think so. Like, so it's what I give compliments to people in Greenville is like, there's good talent everywhere, right? And like, when all the kids are playing Little League, it's just as good talent as if they're going out and playing, you know, in Louisiana, California, Texas, all that stuff. So like, I think that was probably the biggest like compliment I can give to my parents, was like, it was never forced upon us to go play baseball. It was never forced upon us to like not try other things. And then it just kind of worked out that way. And I think that's what probably drove us to like, you know, want to go to the parks with our brothers, want to practice and all that. And then they were there to just support us. And then it ended up working out pretty good. And then we got to high school and started getting pretty decent at baseball. And then that kind of led us into, you know, the next chapter.
This episode is brought to you by Tiebreakers. Tiebreakers is open every day at 11 a.m. and is the best place to watch your favorite sports while enjoying the best wings in town. They also serve sandwiches, appetizers, cold beer, and more. Follow Tiebreakers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates. Tiebreakers is in Greenville at Bell's Fork on Greenville Boulevard and in downtown Winterville on Railroad Street. It's funny that you say that, because I literally, the first thing you said was we were not pushed. And whether Greenville parents want to admit it or not, it is, you play baseball and you're going to like it. Like, there's no choice, and it's year round, and it's cutthroat.
But that's baseball as a whole, right? And I think that's like, I mean, I know someone down here, right, who's, you know, they had tryouts and they were just talking. It was this mom, and she was saying that like the coach called her son the day before and was like, you know, we need you tomorrow. You got to step up big, you know. And then she was like, yeah, like coach pitch is getting pretty intense. Like, talk about like, coach pitch. And I'm like, and so
like 9 years old. Like, what are we talking about?
I'm telling you, like, you wonder why there's a lot of like spikes and injuries and all that stuff. It's because these kids are getting so sport specific, right? You listen to guys like Dr. Meister, who's done, you know, some of my surgeries and all that. Like, this early age sports specification is causing these kids to develop at a rate that's like faster than their body ever could. And so it's putting a lot of stress on a body that's underdeveloped. And it's, you know, I remember I listened to a podcast with the Yankees doctor a long time ago, and he just talks about how beneficial it is to like slow cook, in this instance, like a baseball arm, right? Like, these kids that go out there, I mean, you see it in Perfect Game now, like these high schoolers that are throwing like multiple guys throwing triple digits, right? I remember when we were in high school, even though he went to UNC, JB Bukauskas, yeah, you know, he was up to 100 his junior year of high school, which was like unheard of. And like, people
like, you're a witch
for sure. Now that's becoming more and more common, and now surgeries are becoming more and more common. So you know, I don't know who you're, you know, listens to this kind of stuff, but if it's any parents out there, I'd just say, like, I know it's hard to sit back and not want your kids to be the best on the team or go to the best teams and all that. But I think you can ask Zach, myself, you know, our parents, our whatever teammates and all that. Like, no one remembers when, you know, I don't even remember some of the high school games I pitched in, right? When I thought they were like the World Series. It's just like, if you want to make a career out of this, which, you know, we know that the percent is less and less at each level, but like, you got to make sure you're healthy, right? And that's something I've learned, like and it's a most cliche saying, but like, the best ability is availability, right? So it's just true. But it's becoming such an issue, and I feel bad for these parents, and I think it starts with these coaches at a young age. It's like, it's okay to just like not have to be on the best travel team or have to go like coast to coast.
Literally be a kid. Right. Play basketball. Go get hurt like doing like swimming, hanging out with your friends in the summer. Like,
the amount of times we were just out in the yard playing wiffle ball or football, like, and I'm not saying kids don't do that nowadays, but like, we weren't just like, you know, we weren't always at practice. We were just doing whatever and just being. And I know a lot of college coaches, and I know Coach Godwin like loves 2-sport athletes. He loves guys that played, multiple high school sports, and not only him, but like scouts love that too. Like it's good to be doing other things, and I think it's not something that can get measured, but like I think guys are better off and healthier because of that too. And so I think that's where I want to see maybe that like pendulum swing back in the other direction.
And I'll add this: like I've seen the most talented kids that I've grown up with, that their parents were like that, and they were just like, "Hey, baseball, baseball, baseball."
Get burnt out,
and they're done.
Mm-hmm.
They're done. They didn't even make it to high school, and it's awful to see because you wonder what could happen. That kid could have the talent to be, Mike Trout or someone that could be a big name in baseball, but they don't have the love and passion for it because
they just get pounded when they're such a young age.
Yeah, it is terrible. And I mean, I don't know. You get like me and like Jake said, like we would practice a lot, but it's not nearly as much as these kids are now. I mean, I think Jake would. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, I had more memories playing wiffle ball
for sure
and Spider, a basketball game that we taught the Tyndall kids. Like we have more memories doing that in our front yard than we do, playing these games and stuff. But
absolutely, it sucks that that's the way it is though. Because I mean, Jake, I was at Next Level the other day. There is a 12U team, and they have 3 pitcher onlys. They're 12 years old. Like that is just that. You want to talk about sports specific? That is like above and beyond. Like I do not get it.
I was a senior in high school still thinking I could be an outfielder.
Me too. I was calling Coach Palumbo being like, I think I could DH. Like, come on, let's go.
So, I still think I can swing it a little bit. So
anyway, so I don't know. It is what it is. It's kind of become the game it is, but hopefully, I think that's why getting more guys that played at a higher level back into the game at any level, Little League, middle school, all the way travel ball and all that is so important because it's the ones that have kind of walked the walk that can kind of say like, hey, listen, I know it sounds like it's the biggest deal ever, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at these other sports being incorporated into baseball now. Like I know our pitching coach in AA this year was huge on us throwing footballs and running routes too, because not only do you get the benefit of your shoulder, getting some extra layback, putting you in a natural throwing position.
Coach Godwin hated us running football routes in outfield.
Yeah, he still does. Trust me, he still does.
That wasn't like any training. That was us just thinking we could be,
No, what really gets him going is when we start guarding each other and we're jumping up and on one leg. No, not great.
Yeah, like football routes turn into one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly right.
And you're around a bunch of athletes who think they're the best.
And then you got guys like Matt Bridges playing ultimate frisbee, breaking his ankle because he's making like an Odell catch. So I can see how he can leak in other things, but I think it just shows you that athletes want to be athletes in all kinds of like ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah, for sure. But the good thing is you guys played sports growing up like a normal kid should, and it ended up working out for you. You guys obviously both came to East Carolina, but Jake, you got here in the fall of 16, correct?
Yeah, summer school of 16. So
yeah,
I think Coach Godwin still does that, but we had
he does. Trust me.
Graduated in June and then get there like 2 weeks later. So no beach week for me, unfortunately.
No beach week for anybody. Yeah. The only time he hasn't had summer school was my class in 20 because of COVID. So he still does it, and he still.
Hey, we had those Zoom meetings all like.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That ain't the same as living in the Tyler dorm though. But I liked it honestly. Looking back on it, it felt like it was like 5 months long, but it was only like 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
No, literally, because it's like.
I mean, it was a good time, like because there's the guys weren't playing summer ball, upperclassmen. It was an opportunity to spend time with them, kind of get your feet wet, taking 2 classes, and then I think it made the fall a little bit more seamless, and so I understand why he does it. And like I said, it was I made a lot of memories even in those 5 weeks, like that I still think about today. So I think there's a lot of benefits, and I don't regret or don't wish it was any other way. Like I don't wish I had that senior summer to not be at ECU.
Hey, Danny, I got a question. Who texted you guys when we had one of the Zoom calls and told you that y'all had to wear
suits? Oh no, dude.
Who was that?
I don't remember. Because
it was either Coochmaker or Smitty.
I was about to say it was probably Smitty.
I don't know. The best
I did not fall for it. I did not. I did not fall for it. I hand up. I will stand by this. There were like 6 other guys that literally were like polo, suit jacket, long tie, like the whole deal, and everybody was like.
The only time we ever pulled that was when we went to the children's hospital on Halloween, and we convinced Trey Benton that we were all wearing costumes, and so we all came in at ECU polo, and he was
no way.
Like Woody from Toy Story. It was so funny.
Well, the best part of that, I think even Justin Wilcoxon, who was my class, fell for it again.
Oh yeah, literally a year after. Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
But that's funny. Woody from Toy Story. Today's episode is also brought to you by Curtis Construction. Since 1960, they've been dedicated to servicing commercial roofs with an unwavering commitment to quality, integrity, and service excellence. Curtis Construction offers a range of services, including roof replacements, restoration, repairs, preventative maintenance, inspections, and emergency services. Whether you need a reliable roof provider or want to learn more about the trade, visit curtiscc.com or give them a call at 252-523-1078. These people are great. They've always been huge supporters of East Carolina baseball and East Carolina athletics. They have kids that are in the community. They're awesome. The Caseys, shout out. Go support Curtis Construction. So obviously you get there, fall of 16, season of 17. First of all, briefly, what was the recruiting like? But then going into 17, which was in the past, we're going on 2025. So in the past 8 years, that's the worst year that Coach Godwin's ever had here. What was that first year like? And then obviously building on 18 and then obviously 19 being incredible too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely a culture shock for me, right? Like, I think I remember going into college just feeling like I had everything kind of figured out. Like I was super developed in baseball. Like I felt like maturity wise, I was super advanced in that aspect. I just don't think, and I think you see this in pro ball, like the guys that go to from a high school to college, like there's just the aspect of kind of being on your own, like having to kind of fend for yourself. I mean, that was a hard fall, right? Like it was different because we had not only like half the class was Coach Godwin. We were the first, I think,
full class,
of Coach Godwin. I think maybe Brian Packard committed under Billy Godwin, but other than that, it was pretty much all of us.
I thought Packard
he was Coach Godwin's first one. So I think it was all his. But we had that group of like guys that Coach Godwin kind of inherited, and then the guys that he brought on his own. And I think I know Coach Godwin, has said in the past, like it was a matter of like kind of weeding out the bad apples and just trying to make sure that the guys that are there want to be there. So it was a really hard fall. I think back to some of the stuff we were doing, like it was like mentally exhausting, physically exhausting. It was just thinking back to the 2017 season, like we had some really bad luck. I remember, it was literally the week leading up to Ole Miss, and Bryce Harmon was doing a box jump, falls back, breaks his wrist. He's out. Brickhouse, freshman at first base. Then Krasinski the next weekend gets a line drive off the shin, and then I'm a freshman that didn't start on the opening weekend, and then find myself in the Friday night role. It was, I think the conference also was very under appreciated. There were a lot of good teams back then, but it seemed like it was just a swarm of a lot of bad luck, and then we did a poor job of kind of responding, and it kind of spiraled out, and then we got a little bit of win in the conference tournament, but then by the championship just kind of ran out of it. And but I know
still to this day he says that is the greatest thing that's ever happened to the program is losing that conference championship game.
I think it allowed us. It's funny because being on that team and like looking back, you would have thought we went like 10-40, and that's how it felt. Like we were still over 500, which I'm not saying is good. I'm saying we felt like we literally won 2 games. So it was it definitely lit a spark under us, and I think it was what maybe propelled us, because I didn't have an outstanding sophomore year, but we just had a lot of guys that stepped up from that year, and we really turned around that next year. And I think that looking back historically, that kind of projected us into a regional team. We hosted for the first time in a while. I think first time at home that next year, and then repeated it. So I think it really kind of changed our perspective. I think it kind of showed guys that like you can't just roll out the baseballs and think that you're going to win. And so it was fun to be a part of that team that kind of like had all the potential. I mean, we were the preseason ranked 6th in the country and then finished last in the conference, and to becoming a team that potentially was going to be a national seed and host a Super my junior years, which I think we did get.
You should have.
For sure. So, but it was fun to see that transition. And I think like what it like boils down to is like it wasn't like our 2017 team was like less talented. You know what I mean? We had a lot of talented guys. I just think that it was like a combination of like some bad luck versus the way we kind of reacted to that bad luck and kind of let things continue to like pour over. So it was fun to see, I guess, that transition from like a team that had a lot and didn't have success to a team that wasn't necessarily the most talented team in the nation, but just went out there every weekend and just won because we were just some dogs, you know?
Yeah, well, especially in that 2019 year. Obviously, 2018 kind of set the standard for like, all right, here's how we're going to do it going forward for the rest of Coach Godwin's tenure. But 19, I mean, like you said, 11 seed when you really should have been an 8. Go in, and it's funny because Zach kind of experienced the polar opposite of that regional experience because he had his last year. We won 20 straight games, like swept the conference tournament, swept the regional, almost swept the super regional. And it's like, compared to this, where it's like, yeah, we're an 11 seed, but we're one game away from going home against State.
Yeah,
and it was
funny.
the same thing that happened this year too, because
I always give Zach a hard time and tell him that the 19 team could have beat the 21 team or
22
team.
But what I always say is
here we go.
is you got to listen.
I agree with you, Zach. I agree.
I know. You better.
You think 22 beats 19?
Yes.
I don't know, dude.
Listen. I'm not saying you didn't, but we towards that end of the year when we were hot, we walked into every single game.
It did not. We could have been playing the Yankees. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, we were going to beat the crap out of them. Like, I mean, we'll start at the beginning of the year. We got swept by a team in Bryant, which by no means should we ever get swept. We play them 99 times out of 100.
Well, we paid 97 times out of 100.
Okay. We have 100 series against them. 99 times out of 100, we're going to win that series. And that set us back. And I don't know.
The only sweep we got was against the number 1 team in the country. We lost by like 1 run every game.
Yeah, that was that UCLA series. That was
that was a good series. That was that was one of I know it didn't turn out, but like I think that was the point where we kind of realized like, we're playing the number 1 team in the country and going into the 7th.
You can hang with them.
Yeah, I mean we're right there. We were up 3 in that Friday night game, and then they came back and beat us. And then, but it was honestly like I think that was where like, yeah, we got a chance. And then that year was just fun, man. Like we rode some highs, and then the regional was like super tough when we lost to Quinnipiac, but then to come back and win.
And you're outing against State, of course, too.
Yeah, that's like my pinnacle of like I love that. I think about that game often and like
yeah, at least once a week. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. No, but it's just so yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good guys, and so it was that 2019 was nice, both personally, but as like a team as well. I think we accomplished a lot, and I think continued to like help the next years, which you're seeing time and time again.
And Jake, it's so crazy because obviously Pack and Franny were on the coaching staff this year, and we had numerous guys that were on that team come back for this year's regional, and the same thing happened where we lost to Evansville. We play the 2 seed. We had to beat Chase Burns, and after the game, I remember Pack, Franny, and Sailor was there too, and they all came up to us and they were like, "Well, you guys know you're going to win the whole thing now, right? You just had to get Wake out of the way, and now you're good. You're going to win the whole thing." And obviously, we ran out of gas, but it was the same thing that they were saying happened to you guys in 19, where it was like all you had to do was beat State, and it's in the bag.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember that 19, like we lost to Quinnipiac, and like, I mean, we're just kind of sitting there. We're like, of course you're upset you lose. Like I walked from the field to my house because I need to just think about what just happened, right? Yeah. And I was like, all right, like you gotta like now your back's against the wall, like you have to, go out there. So it's weird though because you're thinking long term but also short term, but like, and it's similar to like the World Series, right? Like you win one game and then you kind of catch a little wind, and then you realize like, hey, we win one more game, we're kind of right back into this. And so I think that was the approach you kind of have to take is like, hey, that sucks that you didn't get in the winning seat because you know how much harder that makes it. But like, you have the talent to go out there, and like if you win this one game, then you just keep it rolling. So I mean, there were definitely a lot of similarities between the years. I really thought they were gonna win it all. So it just, like I said, it's just kind of the nature of baseball, where it's just once you get in that first loser bracket, it's kind of hard to get out of there.
No doubt.
But like you think about it, Danny, like we were playing those games from halfway through the year in 22.
Literally,
it was like, hey, we have to win. I remember
30 games in, we were 500.
Yeah, I mean, after what was it, Charleston, right before conference was our last series, maybe. I don't know.
We lost that Friday night game at Cincinnati, and from there we just took off.
Let me ask you this: if you guys think that 22 beats 19, who do you think should have been a higher seed, the 2019 team or the 2022 team?
I mean, in totality, obviously it's 29. The problem is the way we don't have to get into the specifics of it, but the way that the committee does it is they take into account who's hot at the time. And we had won, up to that point, it was like 14 straight games. So it's like, obviously we're going to be an national seed.
We won 1-2 in the conference tournament. I think that kind of hurt us.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely hurt us, right? But I think from a total season, I think maybe we were the more deserving.
Not to mention, Zach, if you remember, we didn't have any starting pitching, dude. You remember that? We had Mayhew, and then it was figured out after that.
I mean, dude, I still think one of the craziest baseball games I have ever played.
That Memphis game? I already know what you're about to say.
Friday night against Memphis.
No, it wasn't even televised. I was trying to watch it.
It was unbelievable. We sit there, we go into a meeting. Coach Collins like, hey, listen, like, this guy doesn't have anything that jumps off his page, but he just gets out and punches tickets. And we're like, all right, like, he's like, we're going to be tough at bats. Get him out by the 6th or 5th. 6th inning rolls around. He's at like 50 pitches. We're like, dang. 7th. And then we look up at the scoreboard, and it's just like 0-0-0-0.
The fact that wasn't televised too, man.
It was unbelievable. I mean, we played what?
That was like the best pitching duel of the year.
It was unbelievable. We played like 14 innings or something like that.
For the people that don't know, we were at Memphis in 22, and CJ Mayhew went up against this guy that literally looked like Bartolo Colon and just absolutely shoved it. And it was a no-hitter. Both guys, I think their guy went, like 8 and some change, and Mayhew went a full 9 no-hit, and it was tied 0-0.
Maybe we ended up going. I don't know, like Rich Hill.
Yeah, no, but he didn't. They took him out.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But I mean, it's just that entire year was just a fun ride solely because of obviously like we had a pretty core group of guys that were together. Some from 19, but a lot from 20 in that first year that you came when there was COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
But then all of the 21 guys were a year older, and it was just like you said, it was a rocky start. But once we put it together, it was like doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at the group, and like you said, like that group had already been through so much. You had guys that had been through COVID and done whatever, but like at some point, I don't know what happened, but we all just started becoming super vulnerable with each other. I remember that freshman class, like I just remember them at the beginning of the year. They were talking. We all read Coaching Third, and they're just all crying, pouring their hearts out.
Yeah.
Like the entire room's crying because they're just saying the saddest stories ever.
Yeah, that 19 team, we were tough. We didn't.
but like halfway through the year, we got super vulnerable with each other and told everybody about everything. And that's when you truly get to know your teammates, and that's one of the biggest things that Coach Godwin preaches is vulnerability and being able to admit when you mess up and allowing someone to hold you accountable. So I think there was a lot of that going on. The second half of the year, I think that's what we lacked was vulnerability and accountability. So, but like you said, it was a rocky road, but it was truly some of the most fun baseball I've ever played in my life. And you get to share it with, all your best friends. And it was all, I mean, I still have nightmares about it, but it was a great year.
This episode is also brought to you by Taylor's Forklift in Greenville, your one-stop shop for everything forklifts. They offer new and used forklifts, floor scrubbers, scissor lifts, telehandlers, all-terrain lifts, and much more. With a full-service, parts, and rental department, they offer on-site service and repairs as well as rentals. With over 100 lifts in stock, they are sure to have a lift that fits your needs. Free delivery and warranty on every sale as well. Call, click, or stop by today. Go Pirates! You can visit Taylor's Forklift at 252-215-5438 or at taylorsforkliftnc.com. Well, especially down the stretch, I feel like it was, I mean, let's call it spade. Like, you kind of figured towards the end, like, I'm not coming back. Like, this is my last year. And so obviously when the train starts rolling and we're winning by a lot, and then we find out we're an 8 seed, we don't even get close to being tested in the regional. Obviously the Coastal game, but I mean there was no doubt in our mind we were going to win on that Monday when Spivey was pitching. But
well, especially when they started jawing off to us, I was
yeah,
like,
I was like, who do you guys think you are? Let's relax.
Yeah, just poked a bear and you screwed. That bear's about 800 pounds.
But what? Yeah, exactly. Was there, like, I guess from your two perspectives, was there any advice given, Jake, to him about being like, all right, like, cherish this because this is probably it, and the fact that you're getting to do this first super on campus, all of these like accolades, all this stuff, like, enjoy it. Was that ever like a conversation that you guys had, or was it just like let him figure it out on his own?
I didn't really. I don't. Because I was going through the rehab. I think the most, I guess, the highest compliment I could give to Zach, right, was like Zach was coming off of our dad passing away, right, and I know like that was tough on all of us in like our own ways, but like Zach not only was having to go out there and perform for himself, but also give our family kind of something to like look forward to and rely on. And I think like it wasn't something that necessarily we were going out and telling him, but he kind of took this, I guess, burden to like, hey, listen, because I remember he started the season terribly hitting, and our team, our family was like, geez, man, like, I thought this was going to be
this guy stinks. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be some like sunshine in our lives, and then he's like, can't hit a fastball down and away, and I'm like, oh my God. So, but he really turned it around, and I remember, because I'm down in Tampa rehabbing. You guys are playing UVA in the regional at that point. It's a late game. I have a roommate who's asleep, and like, emotions are high, and they bring Zach in, who at that time, was picking up speed as like momentum as a pitcher, but still was,
exactly.
And just was watching him, and I like that. I was like sitting there and like tears running. I was so emotionally like happy for him, and like just wishing my dad could have been there in person to see it. But like, I think Zach did a good job of like, I think when you get something as traumatic as we experienced with our dad, like it puts a lot of things in perspective. And I think Zach did a great job of funneling that in and putting it towards like the greater good of his career and all that. And so I don't think I can take any credit for giving him any advice, because I think he kind of understood what was going on and did a good job of turning that to baseball and not letting these moments kind of get the best of him. And so I thought that's why Zach's, if you look at Zach's stats, at the end of the year compared to the beginning, like it's pretty incredible how
night
his
numbers
up, right? And it was like, God, a guy that's batting $120 in like the first 20 games of the season, so
yeah,
I got to get above 300.
Nah, it wasn't $120. It was like two something. Yeah. Whatever. No, but I don't know.
It's bad when I'm giving him hitting advice, man. You got to load differently, bro. You're flying open. You're flying open.
But, all right, dude.
I will say this, like going off of Jake, everything. It obviously we were devastated with everything that happened in that fall, but I remember just having a talk with Coach Godwin, and he was telling me like, hey, take as much time as you need, but I think you being here would help you more than hurt you. And going to the field every day and having the teammates that I had that allowed me to be myself, I don't, obviously it never was not in my mind about my dad.
Yeah, of course.
But when I went to the field, it was like,
it's a good distraction.
It's a great distraction. And, and there was always at the field, there was always signs. Like it was crazy. Like some of his favorite songs would always play, and I'd make me happy and a lot of emotions. But you know what? I didn't. Going to the field was just the most freeing feeling I had because, you had Coach Godwin there, who obviously stepped up.
Immensely. He was a big help during the entire fall and the spring.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many meetings we probably had, and you talk about vulnerability. There would be times where me and him would just be crying for 30 minutes just talking, and that's just goes to show you the kind of human being he is. I almost said coach, but you already know what kind of coach he is by seeing the product he puts out every year. Yeah. But the human being he is, where he can steer the ship through all these storms. It's unbelievable. I can't speak enough about him. He's one of the greatest human beings that's ever been in my life. And I'm sure Jake, I know Jake can say the same, and I know all my family can, but But like I said, going to that field and, wearing that patch on the side of your hat, and every teammate had it, which made it even more special. And like I said, you guys made it so easy for me to just come to the field and allow me to. You didn't treat me. Nobody treated me any differently. Nobody treated me like I was going through something, which was the biggest thing ever. And I had great roommates. I had great friends. Carter was there, and I remember numerous times me and Carter would go hit for hours upon hours at the field. And sometimes I'd go hit, and I ran into Starling a couple times. And not only did we hit, but we would talk about things. And it's
which
just
is what the perfect culture is like.
Exactly, and that's the epitome of ECU baseball right there. It's just guys that they want to win, they want to compete, they want to be the best of the best, but at the same time they're always there for you, and you guys literally are brothers. So, but Jake brought up UVA, and that is by far my 1-1. Like,
it's not even close.
It was the coolest moment of my life, and I remember going up to my mom after, and she was crying and so emotional, and it was just so special. It was so special to us, and after walking the first batter, you start to think the worst thing in the world.
It's like, no, what are we doing?
Yeah, here we go again. But
not only can he not hit a fastball away, he can't throw a fastball
in. But no, it was truly special. I will always cherish that. I honestly probably watch it 4 or 5 times a week. Yeah, I love it.
You think about it. I mean, even a couple days later with the Coastal game too.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. It wasn't as close as the UVA game was, but it was still.
But it's still special. And
100%.
This episode's also brought to you by Todd Howell. Todd Howell is a great mentor of mine, Carter Cunningham's as well, but he has been great in the community, huge supporters of ECU Baseball, me, myself, and of course the podcast, but he works over at Kaufman's. Please go support him, get some new winter wear with the season just kicking off, and go support him for being able to support me and the podcast. 100%. Even throughout that entire fall, I mean, you think us going to your dad's celebration of life, the whole team on a bus up there, the patches, all this stuff, like, I think we were always there for you if you ever needed to talk. We were also there to literally take your mind off it and just like hang out and be friends. And like
distraction is a good thing for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I think it was the same kind of thing moving forward for you. And obviously you've gone on to do great things, and you will continue to do great things. And I'm sure, Jake, at the same time for you with all of your injury history and all the troubles that you were going through, one, your faith probably got tested quite a bit there for a while. But two, even with the injuries, like it was certainly just a rocky couple of years to manage, I bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, haven't been out of the clear with the injuries, right? And so for me, it's like just trying to close that chapter of my life, right? And that's something I've talked to Coach Gowan about a lot, right? It's like, I had got my first surgery in 21. I haven't pitched since 2019. So all those ECU baseball fans, I guess I really did leave it out on the floor because I haven't pitched since. But so 21, get my first surgery. Shortly after that, my dad passes away. Then I really tried to and he talked about distractions. Like that was my rehab, kind of became my distraction, right? It's like, how can I get myself back on the field as fast as possible and get back to doing what I love and bring some kind of joy back into my life? As the rehab, continued to go south and the surgeries continued to tick up, like it was getting harder and harder and more like, I guess it was more of a toll on, my physical, like it was so mentally upsetting to me because it was just like, not only is my personal family life devastated, but now also like my career and what I've always worked and dreamed to, like, you look at the way it worked, like get drafted in 19, throw a couple 12 innings in, rookie ball,
right,
shut down, 2020 gets shut down, 21 surgery, 22 surgery, 23 surgery, 24 surgery. I mean, I'm like, I remember when I got released in spring training, I call my mom and I'm like, well, I mean, Jesus, I just had the actually most embarrassing professional career, I think, of anyone in the history of professional baseball, right? And it's just like, and I was feeling bad for myself, right? But the only thing I think that gets me out of bed every day and like, it's hard, right? As the time like elapses, like to truly believe that you still have what it takes. Now I've had bits and pieces, right? Like I go to spring training this last year, stuff was good for the first couple outings, and then it kind of like fell down quick. I just kind of like felt like I got thrown in the fire, And it just, it seemed like there was some underlying stuff that got sparked in spring training. But before that, I had a live, and like velocity was good, stuff was good. So I've had little bits and pieces of like success. And so I know, like, if I didn't think I had a chance to go out there and be who I know I can be, there's no chance I'd be here. So like the bits and pieces of knowing that I still have it even after all these surgeries is number one. Of like, you just got to rely on the fact that like your good is still going to be there. But which kind of circles back to the ECU stuff. When you get thrown into college and then you're on your own, you kind of got to figure it out, right? And I remember Coach Galvin always used to say, like, bad things happen to good people. And I'd be like, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bad to me was like.
We've said that a lot about a lot of stuff that Coach Galvin said, yeah.
But it's just like, bad things happen to good people. And at the time, I was like, like, what's the worst thing? My girlfriend broke up with me. Like, yeah, that's the worst thing ever, right? But it's like, as I've gone through life and, like, kind of experienced, traumatic stuff and like disappointments and all that, like you just kind of, you're like, damn, like, some bad things do happen, and it's not like these things don't like knock you down and you're slow to get up, but it's like, if I didn't have those like trials in school or like the family that I created, like there's no chance I'd be continue to pursue this. But I just kind of got to tell myself, like, hey, listen, like this path I'm on is on for a reason. Like there's going to be like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's going to be the grass greener on the other side. Like there's going to be something that good comes out of this. My hope and dream is that it's from, selfishly for my baseball career. And like I get back to playing and go back, to progressing and get to the show and have a career in baseball. But
it's not selfish when everybody's rooting for you, dude.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, but not only that, it shows me that like, I think there's going to become a time down the line where I can truly help out a lot of people, whether it's baseball or in life, just be like, hey, listen, man, like I know what it feels like to have absolutely nothing going like in your way. Like you just got to kind of sit, watch people that you get drafted with, watch your younger brother literally go through college and now almost like on the cusp of getting called up, and you haven't thrown a pitch. Like it's hard, right? Like everyone wants personal success, right? And so this is taught, I'm like the most impatient person too. So like, this has taught me to like, hey man, like this is not in your timing, right? And so that's where I've really had to just kind of hold on to and be like, there's a greater purpose, a greater plan that, I can't really see right now, but I just have to hold on to that. But yeah, if you still ask me, I'm still the better pitch in Agnos. So we're getting there, man. But it's been some
things never change. Some things just never change.
So just trying to, get back to health. And that's what we opened up with is like health. I don't care how good you are, man. Like, I don't care if you're the next Bryce Harper.
You got to be healthy.
Yeah, like you got to be healthy, right? And so that's where it does start at a young age. But, yeah, man, I'm just moving along, just, getting back up on the saddle. And hopefully plan is to get cranked up and throw in pro day in January. And I know if, I'm healthy and my stuff's where I want it to be, I shouldn't have any problem getting picked back up. So
awesome.
And I'm waiting for him to get healthy so I can prove to him that I am a better pitcher.
Oh, good Lord. Here we go. It's so funny that like while you were talking, it's like hearing all of it's a bigger plan. It's, I won't understand. And it's so funny, like how much, not only I'm sure you have grown since the initial surgeries and the injuries and stuff like that, and like the understanding of it all, but we keep bringing up Coach Godwin, and it's like, so is he. And he's grown in his own faith and taught us, he's been a great Christian mentor to a ton of people, but it's the same kind of thing of like, it's God's plan. And at the end of the day, you might not understand it now, and you don't know why it's happening. You don't know why it keeps happening, but eventually there will be a bigger purpose behind why all of this, good or bad, is going on in your guys' life. And eventually, like you said, whether it's with baseball or not, you will have a very easy way to help people through their experiences in life, baseball, family, at whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of part of it.
That, I can kind of relate to is like, after my dad passed away, I tried to control so many aspects of my rehab to try to like perfect it, eliminate, especially as mishaps and hiccups come on, right? You try to almost eliminate variables to feel like, hey, is it because I'm not sleeping well enough? Is it because I'm not eating well enough? Is it because I'm doing whatever? Like I'm not going to yoga, stretching, lifting, whatever. Like there's something that's leading to these injuries, right? And I was controlling, like trying to control all these aspects, right? And there's an act of just like being like, you know what, man, like I can only do so much, but like there's part of it that I can't control. And I think like that was maybe something Coach Gowan really helped me with was like Jake, like you don't know if you're ever going to pitch or not, but you can do what you think is in your best interest. But like it almost becomes too much. And like to my like demise was like it was slowly eating away at me because I was wanting it so bad, so bad. So it's kind of like an oxymoron where it's like, or a paradox where it's like, I'm probably doing less in the grand scheme of things, like than I have in my entire rehab, but it's the smoothest my rehab's ever gone. And I'm not saying that's the only reason why, but it's just like it's nice to work hard. It's all, but it's also nice to just be a normal human being, right? And not to live by baseball. And so that's where I've really had to hold on to is just like, hey, like there's a, something. It's nice having a higher belief because it's like some things are out of your control. And so, but saying that, like, it's also, I guess the thing that I've realized is like because I've put it out of my hands, because I've kind of accepted like, hey, listen, I'm going to do everything I can, and the goal is to get back. Like there's still going to be highs and lows of this rehab. There's still going to be highs and lows of careers, right? So there's days where I don't wake up feeling as good, and like it's still like upsets me because it's like, man, I know how it feels to feel good. So like it's not this like, hey, we're going to ride on high. Like I think that's what's hard about the rehab is it's truly like this kind of like roller coaster. And so to stay more like neutral and like even keel through all of it has been something that I've really had to try to like lock in on and not let those days where I'm sore or those days where like I don't feel great like kind of beat me up like they used to in the past.
Yeah, well, no, you're absolutely right, and it comes down to a lot where it's mental. It's a mental battle with yourself, and
the silent killer, man. That's what I say.
Yeah,
it's a
right.
silent killer.
And you mentioned it too, but on the other end of the spectrum, Zach, you've been killing it, dude. Like you've been able to obviously carry on being literally a position player for the last 6 months of your college baseball career, and then you're a stud pitcher with what everybody on Twitter saying is a great mustache, but it's to be determined by your own beliefs. But you led your league in saves this year. Like you've been killing it, dude. What has it been like in the Rockies system, at least for the first couple of years you've been in it?
I mean, they made the transition pretty easy. I mean, they just pretty much told me that they don't want me to be a pitcher. They just want me to be a shortstop who pitches, which is essentially what Coach Gowan.
Yeah, literally.
And I was like, oh, perfect. This is just going to be able to do what I do. And they made the transition easy, and they told me in the offseason do what I think would make me make some gains on the mound. And I came down here, and not only the workouts are great and the pitching is great, but you surround yourself with a lot of guys that are in the big leagues that are top prospects. So you get to feed off of them, and you work
and your
with
brother,
them.
Of course.
Obviously him, but you never can give him too much credit. But and you know what? I think what's helped me have some success is knowing that hitting is probably the hardest thing to do in all sports, and that if you succeed I'm going to succeed more than the hitter seven times out of 10, and that's generous.
Yeah.
And knowing that, just going up there and literally throwing the ball down the middle or trying to, and then just letting whatever pitch it is, just letting it work off of that is been a key, because I just try not to overcomplicate things, because that's when you get into those mind funks. You get into the, oh, is my stuff good enough? Oh, he's thinking this, so I'm going to try this. And like, no, I'm going to be honest. Like I have an idea of what I want to throw before I step on the rubber when I'm facing a guy, but I truly rely on the catcher a lot, because he knows a lot more about pitching than I do in sequence. And luckily, I've had two incredible catchers that have caught me. So I've been very lucky with the people that have been surrounding me with the Rockies, whether it's staff or teammates. And but like I said, I credit it to not trying to do too much, just trying to be myself, and trying to, make some fun times out of going to the field 140 times a year. So
no kidding, right?
But it's fun. I think it's fun. It's a grind. And I think, we knew that when I signed a contract. So it's like,
you get to play a game, dude.
Exactly right. And Coach Gowan
could be worse.
Coach Gowan always said, no matter what you do in life will never be harder than anything you do at East Carolina. And that speaks true.
Could not be more truer words spoken from that guy. Good Lord.
Exactly. So it's been awesome though. It really has prepared me. Coach Godwin and that program has really prepared me for the next level.
Well, we know you guys got to run, but seriously, I appreciate you guys both for coming on. You spoke some real truths and some knowledge that people didn't know, some stories that were funny to tell. But seriously, I appreciate you guys both for coming on.
Yeah, Danny, appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it. Good luck with everything. Keep us in the loop with everything.
Yeah, we will. Jake, you get healthy soon. Zach, you keep killing it, and hope everything goes well down there in Florida with Cressy. But love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Love you, man. We'll see you soon.
See ya.